This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. The following program is rated PG-13 and contains language and material that may be offensive to some audiences. With us today on the Havery Show, we have Watkins Glen, New York, unofficial mayor, spokesperson for an entire town, one of the most well-recognized and well-loved people in Watkins Glen, and he's transferred all of that cool stuff down here to Sebring, having come down for years and years promoting local softball, local music, and all-around good guy. My good friend, James, Jimmy, Gilly, Guild. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you, Harry. It's a pleasure to be here.
How the heck are you, Gilly?
Pretty darn good. Liking the weather and still playing softball. This is the spring league.
Yep.
So I'm not really tearing it up, but I'm having fun.
Softball. One of your passions. You have several. You have many. But softball is one of the big ones.
That's number one.
When did you've always been athletic. I want to talk about that. But what softball in particular, when did you get involved in Highlands County, Florida softball?
About 20 years ago.
Talk to me about that.
Okay, so Becky and I came down, and we were bored the first winter because I don't have a lot of hobbies other than playing softball. And then the next year, I looked in the paper, and there it was, in Lake Placid. I was too young to play in the Sebring League because I wasn't 55 yet. So I played in Lake Placid and had a ball down there, great people down there, just met so many friends. It's a lot of fun. And then I got older, so then I played in the Sebring League. And, gee, I got so many friends. That's why I could never leave Sebring for two reasons. Number one, softball friends, and there's this band and this band leader that I could never leave. I think his name is Harry.
That hack.
Yeah, I really, really like Sebring. And, so we've been down here for 20 years. Of course, we live in Watkins Glen in the summer, so we got lucky and we got a little place down here on Lake Josephine, and it's 6 feet deep. And when we go back home, we live on Seneca Lake in Watkins Glen, and it's 600 feet deep.
Little difference.
Yes, it is.
Definitely a difference in temperature. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, you have been in the lake.
Oh, yes, I have. Yep, many a time. Yeah. So you've recruited a large number of people from New York to live in Highlands County because of softball.
Yeah, snowbirds. There's 17 of us.
17.
Yeah.
And how many of those are you and Becky responsible for introducing the community to them and bringing them down?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah, but we have a league up in Watkins Glen, actually Horseheads, New York. So I just told everybody how great it was, and then they told their friends up there, and they love it down here. They love it.
So there's 17 families living in Highlands County because you love softball enough to spread the word.
Yes. They also know about the band, too.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty remarkable.
It's fun.
Yeah, it definitely is. I've played on your softball teams. I've really, really enjoyed it. I don't know if I got lucky or what, but 3 times I've played on your teams, we've gotten really good guys all 3 times.
Well, that's how I like to do it. I like to have happy people that are good teammates, and you fit that. So you'll be on my team until we can't play anymore.
All right. I'm hoping to get back in this fall.
That would be good. You are a very good player, which you always told me you weren't, and you can run, you can catch, you can hit, and you run like a maniac, and you're always pulling muscles.
Yeah, I am. That's a fact.
Yeah. See, I
always
don't have
hurting something.
I don't have any muscles to pull, so I'm okay.
If I could keep off the DL, is it the DL list? Is that what it is? The disabled list?
Yes.
If I could keep off the DL, I'd be in much better shape.
Next year.
Yeah, next year. Next year's my year, Gilly. Next year's my year. You've always been athletic. Tell me about that.
Well, I really haven't been athletic at all, but I like sports. Played high school. I was on the football team as a senior, and I was basically a tackling dummy. And then I would play basketball one year, and I was about 2 feet tall, so that didn't work out too well. But then I did grow. I got up to 6'2" and 220 when I graduated, or after I graduated, but too slow. So I just love sports. Never going to be great, but I like it.
Did you get winter sports? Did you get involved in skiing, skating, any of that stuff?
Yeah, we did that. I skated. I didn't have the money to go skiing, but and went to all the basketball games. We had tremendous basketball teams up there. We had one team, 67 and 68. We had a guy that was 6'9", 6'8", 6'3", shooting guard. We won everything in the state. So, yep, love sports. Love the Yankees. Love the Packers. And I'm trying to love Syracuse.
You're trying?
Yeah.
You have some favorite, not favorite, well, probably both, but famous athletes who've come out of that area. In Elmira, maybe, and in that general region.
Well, the big one is Ernie Davis.
Ernie Davis.
Ernie Davis was the most popular man that ever lived in Elmira, New York. He was the first black to win the Heisman Trophy. He was a tremendous football, baseball, and basketball. And they won the national championship, only time they've won that. And then he came down sick. He was drafted. He went to the Browns, and he had leukemia.
Yeah.
So he never got a handoff. But he is very, very special and very, very loved. There was thousands at his funeral.
Let's go back. You're not originally from Watkins Glen. You're from Montour Falls, which is just 5 minutes down the road.
This is correct.
So tell me about growing up in Montour Falls, New York.
Montour Falls was just like Mayberry. 1,700 people. Everybody worked at the Shepherd Niles Crane and Hoist. Everybody knew everybody. It was phenomenal. And you couldn't really do anything bad because everybody would tell your father. So I had a paper route. We had a bowling alley where you set the pins, and that was good. I made a lot of money there. I got 16 cents a game.
16 cents a game. Now, where was the bowling alley?
That was right across from where the Guild Brothers clothing store was, which was my family store.
It's on Main Street.
Yeah, and it was great. And then they decided to tear the building down.
Oh, the whole building is gone.
Well, they put up a new one, but it's terrible. The other one had a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? It was cool.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining Montour Falls, and I'm imagining Gerlando's. So where would the clothing store have been in relation to Gerlando's?
That would be east.
Towards the falls?
No, the other way.
Other way.
That's west.
Okay.
So, here's the thing about Montour Falls. It was back in the 60s. And I started working with my family store, and you could buy anything in Montour Falls. You didn't need to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. Bakeries, dry cleaners, jewelry stores, clothing, hardware, furniture, 3 grocery stores, on and on. It was really special. And now Montour Falls is pretty seedy now, which is happening with a lot of small towns in upstate New York, the drug problem, and a lot of people on welfare, which I guess is not their fault, but it's just not good for the area. Sorry to say that, but Watkins Glen has always been much busier, and in the last 20 years, it's really gone crazy. We get in Watkins Glen, we have almost 3 million visitors, and we have a gorge right in the middle of town.
Yeah.
And it's on a 90-degree angle from the main street, and there's 19 waterfalls. And this is Watkins Glen State Park, and we get 1.3 million through that every year. Then at the other end of town, we have a pier with Seneca Lake, big marina, and in the last 25 years, we started with wineries. Mm-hmm. Now there's 60 wineries, distilleries, you name it. Yeah. It's busy.
It's remarkable. What really amazes me about the state park is if you did not know it was there, you could drive right by it and see a sign, Watkins Glen State Park, and kind of not pay attention and go right past it and never know what kind of majesty lay behind behind that little facade there. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my whole life.
Yep. And it's very well known. Yeah, you could go right by there. But it's very well known. And also, I'm from Montour Falls. I loved Montour Falls. But when I tell somebody I'm from Montour Falls, they, never heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them you're from Watkins Glen, they know about the racing. I forgot to mention the racetrack. We probably have the finest road course in America. We have NASCAR there, all kinds of races there. Beautiful track.
It's interesting to me that I grew up in Sebring, home of the 12 Hours of Sebring, home of the Sebring International Raceway. And then over the years, my home away from home has been Watkins Glen, another one of America's premier iconic racetracks. You just pointed out Watkins Glen is one of the finest facilities in the country. Sebring's track is a piece of crap.
Well, I didn't want to say that.
It's full of potholes and it's full of hazards, but the drivers, that's what they want. They want the challenge of racing on that historic ground. And I think they'd be upset if you paved over it or if you tried to smooth it out. I think part of the character of our racetrack is that it's sketchy.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage to the cars. But little old Sebring, Florida, it's 150,000 people at that 12-hour race.
Right.
Watkins Glen, we have a NASCAR race. We only get about 110,000.
Yeah, Sebring is remarkable for the amount of people that it can serve in that short amount of time. It really is. And wow, can you imagine the history of both places? Now, Watkins Glen started off in the streets.
Yes. 1948, it was the first road race in America. The boys were back from World War II, and while they were in Europe, the car guys, they saw the hot cars in Europe, and so that's when we started it. Yeah, right down Main Street and then up into the hills, and it was really something.
I saw a film at the theater several years ago about some of the origins, and I cannot place the guy's name now, but apparently he wanted to race. He wanted to have a race car. He wanted to race, so he started this race back then because he just felt like it would be something that would be fun to do. And then he invited friends, and they invited friends, and from what I understand, Atzinger or
Cameron Argetsinger.
Argetsinger.
Yeah,
there you go.
Very well-known family.
Yeah. Is that fairly accurate that he just had a car and he wanted to race it, and the only way to do it was to invite people?
I'm not sure. He might have raced before that. I'm not sure. He came from Money in Ohio. Then they settled in Watkins Glen. But we had huge crowds back then, and these people came from Europe, and they knew how to dress, and all of us hillbillies in Watkins Glen and Montour Falls, we were blown away. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. I've seen pictures of Watkins Glen over the years while I was there. One place that stands out was the Elks Lodge. There's some old pictures at the Elks Lodge. Looks like the Munsters Mansion kind of. Yeah,
it's really nice.
And I saw some pictures of some of the old timers on the walls there. And what struck me was the Italian population and how it looked like something out of The Godfather. And I wonder, I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but I wonder if there were any mob connections that far west of New York City.
Not in Watkins Glen, but in bigger places there was mob.
Yeah.
And the big one was in Appalachian, New York. I think it was in 1957. All of the top mobsters in the country met there for a big meeting. And one of the local police saw all these expensive cars, big Cadillacs coming in. And I mean, everybody was there. And so they got a lot of police. They went up there and raided it. They headed out in the woods and took off. And they never did catch any of them. But yeah, the Italian American in Watkins Glen is what's really made the village great.
Yeah. Because
these people are workers. They came over to work on the railroad and also the salt mines. We have 2 salt mines. Actually, they're not mines. It's a different way of getting salt, and it's the largest the largest production of salt in the world.
Yes.
So they flush the water down, it comes back up into brine, and then they make it into salt, and we have two different companies.
Yeah, U.S. Salt and Cargill.
Yes.
Yeah, they both have incredible operations there on the lake, and they've been producing salt for, U.S. Salt since the 1800s, I believe.
Yeah.
Cargill, I think they came along a little bit later.
Yeah, that was owned by the family in Watkins Glen. Can't think of the name, but they owned it for years and years and years. And then the second generation didn't want to do it, so they sold it to Cargill. Clute.
Oh, yeah.
Clute family.
Clute Park.
Yeah, and have you ever been to the Clute Mansion?
Where's that?
Up on the hill. It's beautiful. It's
I don't know that
breakfast
I
now.
Oh, yeah, the Idlewild.
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah, very nice owner.
Yes.
Yeah, I met him at Seneca Harbor Station. He came to one of my shows. He didn't come to one of my shows, but he was at one of my shows, came for dinner or something.
Well, he heard about you.
We
and
chatted after.
That's why he went, because he heard about you.
I don't know about that, but yeah, very nice guy. And that is one beautiful place, the Idlewild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's if you ever go to Watkins Glen, that would be, if you can even get a reservation, that would be one of the premier places to stay at. If you can get the room, if you're lucky enough to get a room, I think they stay pretty booked out.
Oh yeah, this is the number one B&B in that part of the world, really.
Yeah. Yeah, right down the street from that is a abandoned, beautiful yellow abandoned house. One of the prettiest properties I've seen. I've been all through that place.
Illegally, of
Gutted,
course.
of course. Yeah. I probably should have waited till the statute of limitations was over. If I see abandoned places, I explore them, and you let the chips fall where they're going to fall. But I'm too curious. I have to know what's in it. I have to kind of feel some of that history. But you can see it from Seneca Harbor Station. You can see it up there in the hill. It's just a gorgeous place, huge, and I would love to know the story about that. And there's an abandoned hospital back there too.
Actually, a hotel. It's a world-class hotel. Glen Springs Hotel. And a lot of famous people were there. Edison, Franklin Roosevelt. They had springs there. This is what they were known for, but it was a phenomenal hotel. It was high class. A lot of people in Watkins Glen got jobs there. And then World War II happened.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1942, they locked the door. No more hotel. They had golf courses. They had everything. All done. So then years later, I think a Catholic organization bought it. That didn't work out. Then they had a basketball team up there.
Okay.
And they got them out of the city. And they blew everybody away. These guys were right from the hood. That's where a lot of talent comes from.
That's right.
And Fly Williams was the big guy. He was very famous, but he didn't like to play defense. He got drafted in the NBA, but he wasn't into defense too much. But, yeah, next time you come up, we'll go to the Historical Society, and I'll show you the pictures of that hotel.
So that originated as a hotel.
Yes.
And now, I didn't know any of that. I knew that the Jesuits had it.
Yes.
And I don't know if they were using it as, to me, it looks like a hotel now. Or not a hotel. It looks like a hospital.
No, it was a school.
It was a school. When the Jesuits had it, it was a school?
Yes.
Okay. I'll tell you, that place gives off some creepy vibes. It does. I can't say it any other way. Can you imagine if those walls could talk?
It would really be something.
It really would. Oh, you're the best, Gilly. Famous brands, where you're always looking good for less. Iconic store in Watkins Glen. People come from all over to go to that place. Tell me about its beginnings. Was your uncle's?
No. My uncle and my dad had a store in Montour Falls. Mm-hmm. And then they decided they better have one in Watkins Glen and one in Montour Falls.
Is that Gill Brothers?
Gill Brothers, okay. Yeah. And my uncle was tough. I worked for him for 10 years. He was tough, really tough. And so I decided to open up my own store and see if I could compete with the Gill brothers. My father was getting ready to retire anyway, so opened it up. It used to be Frank's Clothes Shop. It was a suit store, and it was beautiful, and it just worked out perfectly. And we had instant business. Woolrich was popular then, and I just piled it in. And then we moved down the street and got an old 5 and 10 store, and then there was a big hardware store.
Are we still in Montour now? Or
No,
we're in
we're
Watkins.
in Watkins
Okay.
Glen. Yep. So
The original location was where?
next to the rib place.
Okay, yeah. Nichols.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful. I was all set.
To the left?
Really nice.
To the
yeah.
left of it, facing?
Yes.
Okay.
So then we got real lucky, and I bought this 5 and 10, and then it was a miracle because normally you have stores on the other side of you. They're going to be there for 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I ended up buying the whole block other than Jolando's.
Mm-hmm.
And I had really good help.
Yeah.
Women. If you want something done right, you hire women. So that was a good move.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Where did you get that from? That whole if you want good help, hire women. Did that come from your dad and your uncle, or did you figure that out on your own?
I figured that out on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great lesson.
Yeah, my uncle ran the place, but he was stuck in the 40s and 50s. He didn't. He was smart in a lot of ways, but a lot of ways he wasn't. I learned a lot from him on what not to do.
Yes.
God bless his soul. But it's not rocket scientist running a store. It's simple.
Yeah.
And common sense.
Yeah. What year was it that you opened?
1983.
1983. At that was at the location by Nichols, or that was at the location where it is
That
now?
was at the one by Nichols, and I think we moved 10 months later.
Gotcha. Wow.
So I had all this merchandise in there, not a lot, but I had friends that I played basketball and softball with, and they all came down, and we moved it all in one day into the new store.
Remarkable.
And it was all stuff all over the floor, and people are coming in,
Oh, yeah.
and picking it up and buying it. Watkins Glen's a busy town now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, especially during the summer.
Oh yeah. Well, after
It's a tourist
it is.
location.
Yeah,
It really is.
End of October, it slows down.
Yeah.
But for us, we sell winter clothing,
That's
so
right.
we still do well year
Yep.
round.
And you'll have some people that come up there to ski at Greek Peak and some of those other places that would come and get outfitted by you, I suppose.
Yeah, and we have a new hotel, as you know, which is 4-star. It's
It is a
magnificent.
beautiful hotel.
And I was talking to my daughter, who now runs the store. She's much smarter than I am. And they had a big event at the hotel, and we were packed for 3 days. The store was really busy.
Yeah.
So the hotel's been good for everybody in Schuyler County.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. And what a first-rate hotel it is.
It is.
Yeah. I think about hotels. I know all the hotels on the Strip. The one that comes to mind is Seneca Lodge, just because of its nostalgia. Mm-hmm. It's like stepping back in time when you go in there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
They opened up in, I think it was after World War II, the Brubaker family, phenomenal people. Mr. Brubaker was brilliant, and he was also very important in getting the first race in Watkins Glen. He was really sharp. And now it's third generation,
Yeah.
maybe even a little bit of fourth generation.
Yeah.
There's nothing like Seneca Lodge.
Nothing like it. I was talking to Mike Swain 2 podcasts ago, and Mike goes, he's gone 30 times to Watkins Glen because of the races. We were talking about Seneca Lodge and the bar and the arrows.
Yeah.
And how if you kill a buck, you can shoot an arrow into the wall. At least that's how he remembered it.
That's right. And they used to have the New York State Archery Championship there. Mm-hmm. And the people that won in their class, they would shoot an arrow into the wall.
Yes.
But that went away. The New York State Archery thing went away. I guess people weren't into it anymore.
Yeah, that's a lost sport. There's things that have come and gone over the years. It's a shame. You know, everybody that was something you learned in school. Archery was just something that was part of growing up. You learned how to shoot a bow and arrow. You learned how to do these things. And yeah, I guess those days are done. In high school, as a freshman in high school, you got to choose one of, I don't know, 3 or 4 different projects that you could build. One of them was a crossbow.
Oh, nice.
There are guys walking around Sebring High School all the time with crossbows in various different, states. I don't know if they were supposed to be walking around with them, but nobody really cared because they knew it was a shop project. Can you imagine being in shop class in 2025 and being encouraged to build a crossbow?
I don't think that would go now.
I don't think it would go either. Back then, the guys with trucks, they all had shotguns.
Same with
in the
us.
back windows.
Yep, because the Schuyler County where we're from, there's a lot of deer, there's a lot of game up there.
Mm-hmm.
And people still have shotguns in their trucks.
That's right. All the guys carried pocket knives. It was just a whole different world back then.
Mayberry.
Mayberry. You ever been to Mayberry?
I haven't. I need to get up there.
Yeah, Mount Airy.
Yeah.
Mount Airy, North Carolina. Cool place.
One of my favorite shows ever.
Oh yeah. What's your ringtone?
That's right, on my phone.
Yeah, it's worth going. Yeah, you talk about nostalgia and stepping back in time, and you see Floyd's, and you see all the cars. They have the different era cop cars, driving through town, and very, very cool place. Definitely worth a visit.
Yeah, I need to make that trip.
Stop by and see Peter.
Yes.
He's not far from there.
That's right, he isn't.
Yeah.
You think he'll be coming to Watkins Glen this year?
Peter?
If you do.
If I was going to go, he would go. But doesn't look like it. Looks like my Watkins Glen, at least the summers are done. A visit here and there, I'm sure. But yeah, going up there for the summers. This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020.
Can I tell the story about how we met?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, heard your band a few times, and you were over at Sun and Lakes, and band was playing. Wow, these guys are good. And I went up to you and I said, "Here's $20. I want to hear Beatles songs." You said, "I don't take tips." So every time you played a Beatles song, I'd look, and you'd look at me. And not that we were friends or anything. You knew I was weird. But then you came up to Watkins Glen because my brother-in-law's girlfriend knew you.
That's right.
She wanted you to come up and play at my brother-in-law's cottage, which you did. Everybody loved it. It was like John and Paul just came to town, rolled up and won. And then you came down you came down to our house and we talked, and I said,
Becky made me breakfast the next day.
That's right. See, we were trying to bribe you.
We had a great big breakfast at the house.
That's right. My wife's the best cook in New York State, Florida.
Absolutely.
So I said, I think I can get you some jobs. And the next year, it was really easy to find jobs for you. And you were very popular. You played all over. And 8 or 9 years you played up there?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. We would walk down the street. I had been there for, 65 years, and you'd only been there a couple of years, and people are rolling down the window, "Hi, Harry! Hi, Harry!" Everybody wants to be Harry's friend. They didn't even know who I was.
Give me a break. That's a huge stretch.
Now, everybody wants to be Harry's friend, that's for sure.
That would have been 2017. So yeah, it was yeah. So that almost didn't happen. That was this close to not happening. So the reason I was even in New York is because I wanted to visit Auntie Pat. She's in Cornwall on the Hudson. Mm-hmm. Hadn't seen her in a while, and she was slipping. I was just missing her really bad. And I had just opened this place. I had been in business for a little while, but I didn't have the money to just go visit. So I thought, well, if I'm going to go visit, I need to figure out a way. So I figured I'll do a tour. So I set up a tour, and from Sebring all the way into Canada. And that was going to pay for my trip. So I had it all set up, good to go. And then I think it was maybe a week before I was supposed to leave, give or take, Auntie Pat passed away. So I ended up doing the tour, but I was able to be there for her memorial service, which I wouldn't have been able to go to if I hadn't set up that tour. So it really worked out. So I'm in Cornwall with Peter and my cousins, and we're there for the memorial service. And it was the day after the memorial service that I was supposed to go to Watkins Glen. So I don't want to go. I'm not in the mood. I've just lost Auntie Pat. I've got all my cousins here. Peter's here. Everybody's here. I'm going to cancel it. I don't like canceling shows. The show must go on. Whether you lose your favorite aunt or not, the show must go on. So, ended up going after all. Canceled the Canada trip, but ended up going. And it's because I went that here we are talking now, years later. And all that you did for me to get all those jobs in Watkins Glen, you brought the band up 2 times, and you got me my first place to stay up there, that beautiful cabin, Anita's cabin in the woods or in the valley. It was just remarkable. And I thought, honestly, this guy, he's going to bring me up here all summer long. Okay. All right. We'll see. Oh, he wants to bring the band up. Okay. Yeah. Well, I've heard it all before. And I don't think it was a week after that show at Roger and Linda's place that I get messages. We want you on this date. You're going to play here. Here's a picture of the cottage that you're going to be staying at next year. Here's some shows that I've already... Holy moly, who is this guy? So thanks.
My pleasure. You're a good man, Harry.
Back at you, Gilly.
Thank you.
You're a Yankees fan. Die-hard Yankees fan. How many times have you seen them? Like at Yankee Stadium or at another stadium?
Not that many, probably 6 or 8 games.
Yeah.
It's a hassle to go into the city.
Oh, sure.
And, well, when I was real young, like 10 and 12, the Yankees were great with Maris and Mantle. And we'd be playing wiffle ball, and the neighbor lady would holler, Mantle and Maris are up. Then we'd go back in the house. And then when I really started to know about baseball, the Yankees were terrible.
Yeah.
Starting in 66, 67, terrible. And then Steinbrenner bought the team. It's been pretty good. They look a little shaky this year so far, but we'll see what happens. But, yeah, love the Yankees. If they stink, still love them.
All-time favorite Yankee?
Well, I got to put 3 in there. Mantle, Jeter, and Munson.
Thurman.
Boy, did I cry that night when I found out he got killed in an airplane crash.
Yeah. Yeah, what a loss.
Broken-hearted.
Yeah.
He was a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Great family man.
Yes.
Great athlete. He went to Kent State. He was all-state in football, basketball, and baseball. He was quick.
Yeah.
He wasn't fast, but he was quick.
Yeah. Big difference.
Yeah. I wouldn't know. I'm slow in every department.
You love music, you love the Beatles, you love sports, you love the Yankees, but you also are a bit of a history buff, especially when it comes to World War II. You've been over twice, I think, with the Band of Brothers tour.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I was reading my Civil War magazine, and I did say to my wife, Becky, I said, they ought to have a trip where you could follow their footsteps, Easy Company from Band of Brothers. Mm-hmm. And then I saw it in my Civil War magazine. So I got permission. We started out in Georgia where they trained at Toccoa.
Yeah.
Then we went to England where they trained in Aldborough. And that was very interesting because that's a small town, but the people there loved Easy Company. And wherever we went, the people would come out of the woodwork. And a lot of reenactors would come, and they could follow us on the internet. But to be with those guys and to become friends with them, it was just amazing. We heard all the stories. Not all the stories in Band of Brothers were true, but it was amazing. So we were in England, then we went to Normandy, went all through Normandy, Saint-Mère-Église, Saint-Lô, and we were everywhere. And then we went to Holland for Operation Market Garden, and they came out there because we got the Germans out of there for them. And one lady came out, and she cried, and her little brother was like 8 years old when the Germans came, and they dug a hole underneath this big bush, and he stayed in that hole for a year and a half. But they were getting the kids for slaves in munitions factories, and she hugged our veterans. It was amazing. And I got to go a second time too, and there was more veterans that time. And even now, the veterans are all gone, but if anybody likes history, that's the trip to take. It's incredible.
What's 15, 20 years ago?
15, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, so all those guys, Easy Company, they're all gone now?
They're all gone. A few years ago, I think 3-4 years ago, they were all gone. They would sneak me into the reunions, so I got to meet everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Wow.
One Lung McClung and all the boys.
Wow.
Yep.
Very, very cool. What got you interested in World War II?
I was always interested. Well, we used to play Army when we were
Sure.
kids
Oh, yeah.
in the woods, and I would watch the war movies. And then in 10th grade, we had a really good history teacher, and he'd always have the Mike Wallace videos.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, I don't know. I like the Civil War too.
Yeah. Yeah.
World War II is my favorite.
I think. Well, yeah, absolutely. I think growing up, every little boy played Army and Cowboys and Indians and Cops and Robbers and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And everybody in your neighborhood, their father was in the war.
That's right.
Yep.
100%. Yeah, my dad was a Purple Heart recipient. I wish I knew more about that. I'd really
You can look it up.
I know very, very little about.
Do you know what division he was in or anything?
No clue. No clue. I wish I did. So yeah, I don't know anything about that, but I have his Purple Heart.
Do you know if he was in Europe or was he in the Pacific?
I think that he was in Germany
Okay.
for a time,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't. He may have been a cook. I'm not sure exactly. I really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know. I wish I knew.
Well, if he got a Purple Heart, he was probably up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Wow. So, Cowboys and Indians. You a cowboy or an Indian?
Cowboy. Yeah.
Cops and robbers. You a cop or a robber?
I was always in charge in the neighborhood for some reason. I don't know. So I got to be what I wanted to be.
Attaboy. What kind of trouble did you get into as a kid that maybe you haven't really fessed up to? Maybe you haven't really talked about or admitted. Is there anything that you did in particular when you were a kid that really even like your family doesn't know about?
Oh, just the usual stuff, soaping windows, and we had the rope trick. You ever do the rope trick for Halloween?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. So your buddy gets on the other side of the road, and you're on this side. When a car comes, you pretend you're pulling a rope. And, oh, boy, this guy screeched. He went sideways. I was scared to death. We were out of there.
You just pretend?
Yeah.
You just pretend you
Call
have
it the rope trick.
Oh, wow. That's dangerous.
Yeah, and it was a hot rodder. He would have beat the crap out of us.
Oh, wow.
Because I was probably 15.
Yeah.
That was fun. Eggs. We liked eggs. Yeah.
No shortage of eggs up there with all the
No,
dairies and farms.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't get in too much trouble.
Did you have a fort? You have a fort in the woods somewhere?
I had one, and we had a shed at the house, and then my friend had one. He had a good fort.
Nice.
And of course, we have Catherine Creek, which we didn't talk about, was the world's best trout stream.
Mm-hmm.
And there'd get thousands of people there, and now it's not much anymore.
No.
Pollution.
Yeah. Yeah, even Seneca Lake, I talked to some of the old fishermen that are down there sometimes, and they say they're gone. The fish are gone.
Mm-hmm. That's because certain things pollute it. Now, the next lake over, which is Cayuga Lake, which is another huge lake, they have all kinds of fish.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the polluters that is on Seneca Lake. I won't mention who they are.
Well, is it the wineries?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Cow farms, too.
Mm-hmm. What kind of farms?
Cow farms, dairy farms.
Oh, yeah, dairy farms, yeah. Yeah.
I got a lot of friends in the winery business, so you might want to take this out. So.
Well, it's we'll just say it's unsubstantiated rumors.
Okay.
Or I can cut it out. I forced it out of you.
Okay. I don't think there's going to be too many people up there listening to this.
Oh, who knows? Yeah. We're just having fun.
All your female friends. Yeah. It's like the Ed Sullivan Show when you showed up there. They're all screaming.
My word, give me a break.
Yeah.
The Cougars, the Watkins Glen Cougars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss it up there. It was a good stretch.
You might make it up.
Oh yeah, I'll be up to visit here and there.
Fly up.
Yeah, for sure. You never know.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. Top 5 all-time favorite movies.
Well, the top 3 are easy. Casablanca, Godfather 1 and 2. Witness, probably, and Shawshank.
Witness, Harrison Ford Witness?
Yeah.
Yeah, great movie.
Shawshank.
Oh, yeah.
Matter of fact, you did time at some point, didn't you, Harry? If I remember right.
No, I never got caught.
Okay.
I never got
Oh, yeah, you're a real criminal. You are. You're a Boy Scout.
criminal mastermind. Boy Scout would probably not be the correct
Oh, I think so.
term.
What are your 5 favorites?
Oh, wow. I'm not going to put them in order, but definitely Godfather 1 and 2, and I'm going to put them as 1.
Okay.
Star Wars. Yeah.
Something I've never seen.
When I say, Gilly, wow. Star Wars was my whole childhood.
Never saw that, or what was the one on TV? Like Star Wars, everybody watched.
Oh, there are a bunch of them. Battlestar Galactica and Space 1999. Star Trek is what you're thinking
Star Trek,
of.
that's the one, yeah.
Yeah, Tombstone. Tombstone definitely would have to be way up there. And then, you can take your pick of Towering Inferno or the Poseidon Adventure or any of those action movies from the 70s. Planet of the Apes would be way up there. Yeah, but The Godfather 1 and 2, those are in their own separate leagues as far as filmmaking goes. Wow. Really remarkable. Me and Dawn just saw one that I think you would really like. I can't think of the title. It's either The Last Rifleman. It's The Last Rifleman.
I saw that.
Hugh Grant. Yeah, that was a great movie. Talking about the man who's living in the retirement home.
Yeah.
And he
I don't think that was Hugh Grant. That was, he used to play 007.
It's not Hugh Grant. It's not. You're right.
Yeah.
It's oh no. Here we have 2 seniors having a senior moment at the same time.
Yeah, we'll know in 5 minutes.
It'll come to us, but you're right. It was not Hugh Grant.
I think his last name begins with a P.
Pierce Brosnan. Pierce
That's
Bronson.
it.
Pierce Bronson.
That's it.
Yeah,
that
that's
was a
the
good
guy.
movie.
Hugh Grant. Where did I get that from? He could never. I don't know. Hugh Grant. No. Yeah. Pierce Brosnan.
Mm-hmm.
Brosnan or Bronson.
Brosnan.
Brosnan. Yeah. What a good movie.
Yeah.
That had some twists and turns in it.
It did.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. As the older I get, the more I like those types of movies, and the less I like action adventure stuff and all the killing and all the blowing up and the explosions. And
It does get old. Yeah.
It's too much now. It's too real. I like thoughtful movies. I like movies that make you think a little bit, and that was a good one.
I did watch a couple of episodes of Band of Brothers the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend, Katrina, her great uncle or uncle was killed in Normandy, and he was a paratrooper. And I think he was in the 506, the same as the boys. And his name was James Collins. So I'm watching Band of Brothers the other night, and it's when they got back from Normandy, they got a break, and they got in Aldbourne. They went back to Aldbourne, and one of the guys went in to get his laundry. One of the Band of Brothers guys went in because the local ladies would do their laundry, and so he got his package, and the lady said, well, "What about so and so?" Well, he knew that so and so got killed, so he took the package anyways. And then he said, "Collins," or the lady said, "Collins," and that's our friend's great uncle was named Collins.
Darned.
So I'm researching it now.
How about that?
Yeah, he got killed by a sniper. And he was engaged to an English woman. And
wow.
She was devastated. But
No, I can't imagine.
anyways.
This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. You can go out to eat one meal with any musician, with any actor, with any political figure, with any religious figure, with any family member. And this is a tough one. You have one meal.
You go first.
I'm going to do a couple of them. If it was sports, I would say Larry Bird. Except Larry Bird wouldn't have any use for having lunch with me, and he probably wouldn't want to do it. And I don't know that he would be very forthcoming or fun to be around with. I don't know, because Larry Bird is such a private guy. So knowing that about him, I would be hesitant. But if in the sports world, it would be Bird, no doubt about it. If it were the music world, it would probably be George Harrison. You know, you'd immediately think of McCartney or Lennon, but George was the thoughtful one. Here's the spiritual one. And again, Lennon, depending on what kind of mood you got him in,
forget it.
You know, and Paul's he's just gonna be Paul, you know.
Oh,
but George and Ringo, I mean, he's so lovable. But George had a depth of character that I think the other guys didn't have. I would love to hang out with him. Movie wise, that's a little trickier. Maybe Sean Connery. Politically, Kennedy, John Kennedy. Family would be my dad. And that's a hard one because I've got my sister and my brother in there too. And I would love to see them. But my dad, I never really knew. So politically.
Definitely JFK.
Yeah.
I thought he was that.
Yeah.
I think he would have been great, too.
Are you following any of the stuff that's going on with the files that are being released?
Of JFK?
Yeah.
I haven't read it.
Truth is coming out. It's starting. Well, the truth. What is truth?
Where do you find it?
I'm seeing little reports and snippets. I haven't read anything. But I heard a recording from LBJ's one of his right-hand men who said, you know, I'm true blue with Lyndon, but he went too far, hiring somebody to take out the president. There's some real damning evidence, and you know, no real shock.
CIA,
Yeah.
was it? Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So Kennedy. So music.
I would say Nat King Cole.
Nat King Cole. Mm-hmm. Wow. Now that's a great answer.
Yeah, that's what I grew up listening to.
Tell.
When I was real young, that's what my parents listened to him.
Yeah. Did you ever see The Green Book? That's a hard movie. It's about a New York kind of bouncer, kind of gangster type guy who gets hired to go on the road with a black piano player through the South. And the Green Book are the safe places that blacks could travel, and restaurants, hotels, things like that. Remarkable movie. Really good. I would highly recommend that one.
I will look at that. I read a biography of Nat, and it was amazing. Like the ladies.
Mm-hmm.
The ladies liked him as soon as he opened his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what I grew up when I was very young listening to that. For sports, I'd probably go with Derek Jeter.
Really? Over Mantle or Maris or Thurman Munson overall? Well, okay.
Now, I guess I'd go with Munson.
Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a tough one, too, because Mantle was personable.
Iconic.
Yeah. And
All of
Maris,
those guys are.
Maris was just pure class.
Absolutely.
His grandson played out here at the college a couple of years ago. I got my picture with him.
I'm not as big of a baseball fan as I am, and I'm not even a basketball fan anymore because I hate what the NBA has become.
You have to watch college.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the girls.
Yeah. I would almost pick Yogi Berra just because seems like it would be a hoot just to hang out with that dude for an hour.
Absolutely. He would. I came to Florida my first year of college just so I could go to spring training games. And I went out to where the Mets were practicing, and I followed him back in, and he just mumbled. You couldn't understand him. But then I got to meet his son playing senior softball, Larry Jr.
Yeah.
Super nice, and he had all kinds of stories for me. But yeah, Yogi that'd be a good one.
The other one might be Euchre. Euchre would probably be a handful too.
Yeah. Yeah, you see him on Johnny Carson on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. He was always a player to be named later.
Yes. Who was the lead role in Naked Gun and
Nielsen.
Yes. Could you imagine Euchre and him together? That would be a combination right there.
Yeah. Yogi's the greatest catcher that ever played.
Oh yeah.
They're finally coming up and saying that. They always said Johnny Bench, but now the experts are saying Yogi Berra.
Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench reminds me of Pete Rose, and then that begs the question: should Pete Rose have made it into the Hall?
No. I always said that, and then a few years ago, I said yes, because of all the guys that cheated along the way with the juice. But Pete, he bet on his own team and got in big trouble. Great player. And, he owed a ton to the mafia. So much money from gambling.
Yeah.
Great player.
There's talk about Michael Jordan, same thing with gambling issues. And partially why he had to step away from the NBA for a while. It was kind of a backdoor punishment. Why he went and played for the White Sox.
I went to a trade show in Vegas for a clothing show. Got in the cab. I said, "What's going on? What's going on?" He says, "Oh, yesterday the rumor is that Jordan lost $250,000 gambling."
And that was just word on the street.
Yeah, you can't believe anything, but yeah,
No, you can't.
Great player, but I'm a Larry Bird fan too.
Oh yeah, me too.
Trash talk.
Oh, the NBA's most infamous trash talker of all time, because he could back it up.
Yes.
Story after story about story after story. I'm going to get the ball. Yeah, I know. I'm going to be waiting for you. I'm going to dribble it right over to the baseline. I'm going to shoot it right in your face. Wow. The confidence, the arrogance, the cockiness to be able to back it up.
Oh, boy. I watch monthly. I'm on YouTube watching his highlights.
Me too.
Yep.
Yep.
I like the one where the coach of the Utah Jazz, he was a character. He was an older guy.
Carl?
No, this is the coach.
Coach Pat. Oh, I was thinking Pat Carl. What was his name? I know who you're. I can picture him in my face.
Glasses.
Yes.
So Larry went over and said, "Hey, you got anybody on your team that can guard me?" And the coach looked down at his bench and he said, "Nope."
The Celtics were playing against the Hawks.
Oh yeah,
and
that's a classic.
Oh man, and the Hawks bench, were falling all over each other.
They got fined.
Yes, they did.
$7,500.
I think it was Doug Collins. Don't quote me on that. I think he was the head coach, and they said it was the most awkward and painful day after a game session because he didn't talk. He just kept rewinding the bench and the reaction over and over and over. He was upset. But golly, every NBA player who ever lived started off as a fan.
Right.
And how can you sit on the bench and watch arguably one of the greatest ball players of all time having an all-time scoring night and not get excited as a fan, even if you are wearing the other team's uniform?
That's right.
I can't hold it against those guys. I think
No way.
I think it's cool. I
Me
love
too.
it. I love
That's
it.
one of my favorites.
Man, yeah. This episode of The Havery Show is being brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020. I know I got to see Larry Bird from here to here.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, 1987. 1987. I was in Boston for my sister Shirley was going to have her kid. So me and my mom and stepdad Tom, we went up to Cape Cod to be with her when she had the baby. So I got to go into Boston. My mom and stepdad took me up there. We scalped tickets. It was the game. I want to say it was, I forget if it was game 1, game 2, I don't remember. But it was against the Bulls, and it was the night that Jordan lit them up for like 60 points. And the Celtics still hung on to win. All that to say, my sister used to work at this bar called Shenanigans, and she got me this white satin jacket with green trim, and on the back was a green shamrock, and it said Shenanigans, but it looked like a Celtics jacket. Mm-hmm. And so before the game, so we got scalped tickets, and the ticket I was able to get was an obstructed view in the nosebleed section.
You didn't stay there long.
Before we even got into the Boston Garden, there were these. I was waiting to get in, and there were these two old ladies, and that's when I had my feathered back 80s hair. Mm-hmm. And there were these two old ladies, and look at Margaret, whatever. He looks like Larry, and we were talking and we were chatting.
They thought you looked like Larry?
Yeah. Well, boy. I didn't have the nose or the mustache. But I had the hair.
Nothing.
Yeah, I had nothing.
No.
I wasn't 6'9". So,
a little better looking than Larry. Sorry, Larry. But
we were talking, and they said, where are your seats? And I showed them my ticket, and they said, oh, no, those aren't good seats. You'll have to sit with us. They're season ticket holders. One of their lady friends couldn't make it. So they said, you sit with us. And it was right behind the basket, second level. Unbelievable seats. Before the game, I went down. I wanted to just tap my toe on the parquet floor. Mm-hmm. And the guys were down there, the kids that clean up, the sweat if somebody falls and they get water to the. So they were there. We're the same age. And we just started talking, and they said, where are you from? And I said, Florida. And they said, what, how did you get up here? And told them the story about my sister and everything. They said, after the game, get down here as quick as you can after the game. So I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know what to expect. So I got to sit with those old ladies and watch the game. The second half, I just kind of wandered around and just took in everything. But I made sure I was down courtside. Those guys got me downstairs to the locker room. So I just followed the sweat boys down into the bowels of the Boston Garden, and I'm standing in line with a whole bunch of other people, and literally the door right here goes into the locker room, and there they are. There's all the guys in the locker room. As the guys are coming by me, I'm getting some autographs. Charles Oakley from the Washington Redskins was in attendance. He came walking by. I got his autograph. Michael Jordan came right by me, saw it was an NBA halftime sheet that the guys gave me for my autographs. Jordan came by, he saw me and he went like this, and I pulled it back because I didn't want Jordan's autograph because he's a ball hog and I couldn't stand him at the time.
Wow.
So that was a mistake. I got Robert Parrish, Jerry Seasting, Fred Kite, Dennis Johnson, Kevin McHale. I got all of them.
Chief? Did you get the Chief too?
The Chief. Oh man, the Chief. The Chief came up to me, and he's huge. He's a huge guy, and I looked up at him, and he had that that face, that stone
Yes.
face of his. And I just kind of pulled back my pen and my paper. He got the biggest smile on his face, and he grabbed it, signed it.
Wow.
Bird was the last one out of the locker room. Everybody else is gone, and he's in there doing an interview with some press person. So I'm sitting 25 feet away from Larry Bird, my idol, and I'm watching. Every once in a while, he looks up, makes eye contact with me, and goes back to the interview. And then looks up again. You know, it's almost like, is that kid still there? But anyway, he came out with the reporter, kept talking to the reporter. I got in the elevator with him. He signed my paper, and off we went.
Wow.
Larry Bird. Yeah, that was great.
You never told me that.
There you go.
You still have the
I've got it somewhere. It's in one of my totes, one of my buckets somewhere. Yeah, I've still got it. You can't tell it's a stat sheet anymore because it was one of those mimeographs. It was purple. Remember the ink?
Yeah.
So it's all faded. But yeah, I've got all the autographs.
Wow, that's amazing.
Casey Jones, Jimmy Rogers, the assistant coach. I got all those guys. Yeah. I also got Bill Walton. Bill Walton was coming. He was heading into the Garden when we were there. We parked around back. We were getting stuff out of the car, and this car pulls up. There's the Redwood, Bill Walton himself. I said, I didn't have anything. I said, can I get your autograph? And he said, I'll get you when I come back. I got to run inside. And I thought, dang, missed opportunity. So we were still out there 10 minutes later looking for something in the car. I don't know. And all of a sudden I hear, hey, you still want my autograph? And I turn around. There he is. There's Bill Walton. He actually found me. And I had a napkin, and bam. I thought that was cool.
That's really cool, and he was great, especially in college.
Oh, yeah.
He was unstoppable. But you know who Bill Walton thinks is the greatest player ever?
No.
He said this many times. Larry Bird.
Yeah.
Best he's ever seen.
Yeah. I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
You know, Larry Bird and Pistol Pete were on the same team one season.
Yes, they were.
And you would have thought that would have been dynamite. But Pistol Pete was on his way out, and Larry Bird was on his way in, and they didn't gel.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't gel well together. But boy, those two guys in their prime, that could have been something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the NBA needs a resurgence. It's in rough shape. LeBron's killed it.
That and the 3 points.
Yeah, the three-pointers, yeah. Yeah. You know what I personally think? This is just my opinion. They need to scale up the entire playing surface. If you look at the average height of the NBA players at its inception, the average height of the average player has gone up. I think they need to extend the court an extra maybe 5 to 8, 10 feet lengthwise and widthwise, and they need to go to maybe 11 feet on the rim. Yeah, the whole playing surface needs to be expanded to make up for the size of the men that are playing now.
I'll bet they'll never do it. But,
They'll never do it.
But I like it wider and longer.
It needs to be.
Because they're so fast getting up and down,
Yeah.
you can't even see them.
Yeah, no. Yeah, in my mind, that would make it a more competitive game, and it would require you to think more and play more fundamental basketball than what they're doing now.
Have you seen Caitlin Clark on YouTube?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's a machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remarkable.
Really fun to watch.
Remarkable player. Yeah, she could advance the WNBA by years.
Yes.
And you know what she's going to do is she's going to inspire a whole lot of young ladies that otherwise might not have been interested in playing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was very young when 8th grade, I think, when the colleges started going after her.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a force. Definitely.
Classy, too.
Very classy. Yeah, I like her. Gilly, you know an hour has already flown by?
Wow.
Can you believe it?
No.
So what's next for for Gilly Guild. You're heading back north soon.
Yeah, we're going to be gone in 3 weeks, back up to the beautiful Finger Lakes. And I will be going to the store every day. I like to talk. I don't know if you knew that or not, but I love to talk to the customers.
I enjoy that.
Thursday is softball day.
Yeah.
The other days.
Yeah.
But now I sleep later and leave earlier.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love the business, love the people.
You can tell. I can't even tell you how many times I've been in the store. Either maybe we're going to get lunch, or I just need to get something, or whatever. I'm just out for a walk, and I just go into the store to say hi to the people that work there, because I love all your.
I love you. That's for sure. They're all women.
Your employees. They're just great people. So I can't tell you how many times I've just kind of sat back and watched you do your thing with your customers. And it really is evident that you love what you do, and that you care about your customers, and you're a great spokesman for Watkins Glen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a great place.
It really is.
I'll talk to the people, where you're from. That's the first question. And then I find out, they've never been there before. And I said, you got to hear this guy.
I've heard you do that many a time, too.
When
you didn't even know I was
weird.
There. Yeah.
It seems like every time I did that, you were around the corner and you made faces at me. But
oh, yeah. Well, if you happen to be in the neighborhood of Watkins Glen in the Finger Lakes, the southern tier, make sure you go to Famous Brands and Ben and Jerry's and go find Gilly. He'll give you a free T-shirt. If you're from Sebring, he'll give you a Watkins Glen road trip
and free Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
And free Ben and Jerry's. Heck, that's almost worth the trip right there, just to get a T-shirt and ice cream.
That's right.
Yeah, it's and plan on a couple of days. It's a beautiful place up there, it really is. Gilly, you're a true blue friend, man. Thank you for everything you've done for me and my family. I love you and I appreciate you.
I love you too. You've been very good to me.
And we're out.
Okay. Thanks, Eric.
Let's go get lunch.
Okay. Sounds good.
The Havery Show has been brought to you by Heartland Tax and Accounting, 863-385-5020.
Glory to the name